William Roberts. I just got off a whole rant with Megan, so now I'm on a whole rant with William Roberts, a.k.a. Rick Ross, the rapper guy, not the real Rick Ross, but the rapper. You guys know what I'm talking about, William Roberts. His trolling is top tier, to be honest with you. It's very elite. I enjoy it because it's entertaining when I hear him troll, because this is trolling, basically what he said. He basically caught wind of the story of the Young Buck selling his catalog, which I talked about on my previous podcast. And he said, Young Buck selling is worth about $700,000, so I'm going to give, and then he offers an offer to 50 Cent to buy the whole G-Unit catalog. Most of the G-Unit catalog. Basically, Banks' catalog, Yayo's, Buck's, and then the G-Unit debut album, Beg for Mercy. First, play the clip. Then I'm going to talk about why this is hilarious, because you guys already know I'm going to break this shit down. This is like easy peasy lemon squeezy. This is nothing. If Rick Ross is here, I'd be like, listen, bro, this is not how this is. Anyways, let me play the clip for you guys.
It's the biggest boss, Ricky Rose, and I got a business offer for the diabolical genius. I read yesterday that Young Buck's catalog is worth $725K for the entire catalog. Cool. I can only assume that Lloyd Banks is worth about the same. So I say, thank you. So I say, let's make it and keep it simple. Throw Tony Yayo in there. I give you 1.5. And let's say for the, I don't need the entire G-Unit catalog, but Beg for Mercy. Let's keep it simple. I'll give you another $500K for the masters of that. So that's $2 million. I'm making a business offer to the diabolical genius. It's $2 million. Boss.
First, Rick Ross, here's the thing. 50's going in on Diddy. Rick Ross and Diddy are butt buddies, basically. That's the essential thing of this is Rick Ross is just defending Diddy. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make 50 get off track on Diddy because he's 50 staying on Diddy's neck 24/7. And what he's trying to do is just deter 50 from staying on Diddy's neck and get him to talk about William. And William didn't sell much, isn't really that relevant musically anymore like he used to be, quote unquote, used to be. Or was hot, what people were saying at one point. And now he's just trying to deter and offer these things up. I responded to it immediately on Twitter. And I just said something simple, right? And there was one person that responded to me and just didn't understand what I was saying at all. But, most people understood what I was saying. So Rick Ross is saying basically $1.5 million for the G-Unit catalog of Banks, Buck, Yayo, and just the Beg for Mercy album, not the Terminate on Sight album. Right, Beg for Mercy. So, obviously, it's not worth $1.5 million. The Young Buck story, that's the portion that Buck owns. And by the way, it was an auction that he had to, because he's dealing with bankruptcy issues and stuff like that. And he's trying to sell it, to a buyer that wants to buy it, at an auction price, which is lower usually than what it's actually worth, because you're trying to sell it quicker. And then the details behind that, obviously, I don't know the full details of what Buck owns, what percentage. You might have only owned 10%. That means $750,000 at 10%. That means it's worth a lot more. Maybe you only own 20%. I don't know what the percentage is, but we know Buck's catalog is not worth $725,000, the full catalog. The reason why we know that, and I know that for a fact, is because there's been artists that have only sold $1 million, $2 million that sold their catalogs for a lot more in the past. And on top of that, a lot of the G-Unit music is global. It's worldwide. It's not G-Unit as a brand. G-Unit as a brand is global. And 50's proven that with the Final Lap tour. Yayo even said himself, Yayo, Buck, Banks, and Game just touring off the G-Unit name worldwide would do insane numbers. They don't even have to have 50 involved. They would do insane numbers. And how do I know this? Because I am from a whole different country. I'm from Europe. They still bump Banks, Buck, Yayo, Game, 50. They bump all this stuff still. Especially 50, obviously. But he's saying 1.5 million. So I was like, all right. If all those people combined, Yayo, Buck, Banks, and the G-Unit Beg for Mercy album, all of them combined is worth 1.5 million. That made me think, what is Rick Ross's catalog worth? Considering, here's the thing, considering That's what Rick Ross obviously is trolling, because I know he's trolling this because he's not being serious about this shit. It's not worth 1.5 million, not even fucking close to 1.5 million. The reason why I would know this is because just look at the numbers. It makes no sense. If G-Unit catalog with the Beg for Mercy album has gone triple platinum, and this was triple platinum back in 2004, we have no updated numbers of Beg for Mercy. It could be 5, 6, 7 times platinum for now. I would assume it's at least 5 times platinum right now after 20 years. Now, I know people are going to say, well, I think it's more. It's probably not, because if you look at Get Rich or Die Trying, which is obviously the biggest album, period, when it comes to anything G-Unit related, it went up a couple, million after 20 years, but it didn't go like, huge. It's not diamond officially in America. It is globally, but it's 9 times platinum in America after all these years. So I would assume Beg for Mercy, it going, triple platinum in America in 2004, because in 2003 it was released late 2003, but in 2004 it went about triple platinum. Right now, I think the official numbers on RIAA is like double platinum, but by then I think the numbers, because you have to remember all this stuff isn't updated completely, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. So if in December 16, 2003, it was double platinum, that means within a month, the album got released November 14, 2003. So within a month, it sold 2 million copies in America alone. Just within a month, the Beg for Mercy album did that. Now, let's just put that album there, right? And let's put Rick Ross's best-selling album, which is Port of Miami, his debut album. That album, as of 2016, they updated it 10 years after its release. After 10 years, with streams included, officially went platinum in 2016. That means only 1 million sold. G-Unit Beg for Mercy within a month sold 2 million. Within 1 month, we're talking 10 years to go platinum, just platinum, versus a month to go double platinum, sell 2 million. 1 million a whole year, 2 million in a month. And you mean to tell me, what is Rick Ross' catalog worth then? If that's how quickly they went platinum, double platinum, and in 2004 it was confirmed it was triple platinum. And then 50 just got this big-ass plaque in Australia that showed Beg for Mercy was platinum, which I don't know Australian numbers of what they count as platinum, maybe 100,000 sold regardless. But all these things are updated on the Massacre 5 times, so we're not even including 50's catalog. Obviously, 50's catalog is not worth 1.5 million. We know that. So let's just include G-Unit, the Beg for Mercy album, like he mentioned. Let's include Banks's, which we know Banks, like, come on, man. The tiers, here's the funny thing in this. This is the tiers that Rick Ross is in. Rick Ross's best-selling album, his debut album, Port of Miami. We're not talking singles, just album. The best-selling album is platinum in 2016. Tony Yayo's best-selling album is Thoughts of a Predicate Felon. It's actually his only debut, studio album. That's platinum. And that was platinum in 2006, because 50 said about in 2005. This is what 50 said. RIAA, there is no certifications. But we could assume Yayo would have done at least platinum after 2 years, because Yayo couldn't tour when the album came out because he was on house arrest still and dealing with a lot of, he was still on, after he got released, started to deal with a lot of parole and all that stuff. So 50 said by the end of 2005, the album ended up selling about 800,000 copies. So we can assume by now it's platinum. Let's just say another 200,000 within a whole 10 years, which is honestly, I think it's double platinum by now. I would assume Tony Yayo's album is double platinum by now. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think it is. But regardless, let's just say both of them are double platinum. Let's say Port of Miami, even though it took 10 years for it just to go platinum with streams. Let's say now in 2023, another, how many years is that? Another, because it came out in 2006, another, how am I doing this, Matt? 16 years later, let's say 16 years total, it's gone double platinum. Yayo, in about 18 years, has gone double platinum. Let's just say they're both double platinum now. Let's just say the numbers are that. Yet Rick Ross is just matching the lowest selling member in G-Unit's numbers. So what does that say about Rick Ross and his catalog? Now, I'm not saying, Rick Ross's catalog is the same as Yayo's. That's not the debate at all. That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm saying is Yayo's highest selling album probably brings in just as much money as Rick Ross's highest selling album. That's just one album, though. It's album to album, right? So let's get Yayo. William Roberts' best-selling album is matches Yayo's, right? Okay. So he threw in Banks. He threw in Buck. The next tier, in terms of sales, is Young Buck. So goes Yayo, the least selling member. Then Young Buck's next. Straight Outta Cashville is if I remember correctly, double platinum in terms of at the time when it was certified. Okay, so at the time that it was certified, it was not double platinum. But so this is the certification date, January 2005. So the album came out August 2004. So it took about, you could throw 6-7 months for it to go officially platinum, officially from RIAA. But according to reports, it's double platinum. 50 said double platinum. A lot of, I think, what was the Wikipedia page said double platinum. So we'll just say double platinum after all these years. From January 2005 till now, I would say 1 million copies were added on to that. I would 1,000,000% confirm that. That's not even out of reach because it's G-Unit. G-Unit always does numbers. So 1 million copies added on since 2005 till now. So about 18 years later, 1 million copies extra sold, double platinum. It could be more than that. It could be triple platinum. It could be, whatever. So let's say double platinum. Rick Ross has about how many albums that are gold, meaning 500,000 sold? He's got about, let's see how many albums he has that are gold. Because he has only one platinum album. Let's remember that. Or we can throw double platinum if we have to. It's not a big deal to me. I don't care. I give him some extra numbers just to buff up his numbers because it's not going to look good for him. Let's just say Rick Ross, Port of Miami's double platinum. God Forgives, I Don't is gold. That's one other album. Teflon Don is gold, 500,000. So that's another album. And Rick Ross's Trilla is gold. So he has 4 albums, one that reached platinum, the other 3 reached gold, which means 1.5 million copies. Let's say Port of Miami's double platinum. Let's say all these albums right now, because these certification dates 2012, 2010, 2008. So let's just say they updated these certifications, right? Let's just say they updated them. And let's say they're platinum because Rick Ross doesn't sell that much. Let's be honest. As time's gone on, it took him a whole 10 years just to go platinum on one album. So we got to assume it's going to take a long time for him to go from gold to platinum. It's going to take a while. We just have to assume that based off of the performance of his biggest album, by the way, his debut album. Other albums didn't match his debut album in terms of hit. His biggest lead solo song is Hustlin'. Then it's Aston Martin music. Then it's whatever the hell else he's got. So let's say all these are platinum. So Port of Miami, double platinum. God Forgives, I Don't, platinum. Teflon Don, platinum. Trilla, platinum. What does that put him in sales? 5 million. 5 million total. As of, we're just assuming because a lot of these haven't been updated. Let's say he has other albums that are gold. We can throw that in. So 6 million. Let's just give him an extra million. Say these other albums went gold. Whatever albums he's released that I don't think they've gone gold, to be honest with you. Maybe, if we're lucky. So 6 million sold. Rick Ross as a solo artist. No Maybach music. Just Rick Ross catalog. 6 million sold. So you got Yayo we threw double platinum for Yayo. I believe we did. Let's just say he's platinum. Let's go to the lowest numbers on the G-Unit side. And let's pump up Rick Ross's numbers. Let's just do that for Rick Ross's benefit because he's going to need it. 6 million sold. We pumped up a little bit of Rick Ross's numbers. Say a lot of the certification dates are out of date. Pump up their numbers. 6 million sold. Yayo 1 million. Bucks 1 million, even though he's probably double platinum by now. He's 2 million. Yayo's probably double platinum. He's 2 million. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to go for G-Unit's sake. I'm going to keep it straight facts off the things. Here, we'll inflate some of Rick Ross's numbers because people are going to argue, oh, Rick Ross is bigger than all these. Okay, so let's just inflate some of the numbers. I'll give him an extra, 1 million? An extra 2.5 million sold, I'll give him. Because right now, he's only, as of RIAA, Port of Miami's only platinum. God Forgives, I Don't is gold. Teflon Don gold. Trilla gold. That's it. So we're looking at RIAA right now certifications. We're looking at what? 2.5 million sold. So we're adding a bunch of extras. So we'll say 6 million. Yayo is at 1 million. Bucks at 1 million. Let's go Lloyd Banks. And we're not inflating any of these numbers, by the way. Even though the dates on these certifications are so old that we can inflate these numbers by at least another 5 to 10 million if we really wanted to. Hunger for More is platinum. This was in September 2004. The album came out July 2004. So August, September, within 2 months it went platinum. Within 2 months. We're talking Rick Ross, Port of Miami took a whole 10 years with streaming adding on top of that to go platinum. Banks did that in 2 months. And that's a certification date in 2004, September. We are a whole 10, 20 years later. We're about to be. So we can easily say this album's triple platinum, 4 times platinum. But we'll go off RIAA certificates. For G-Unit, we'll go straight facts RIAA. Another platinum album. So you got Yayo platinum, Buck platinum, Banks platinum. None of these other albums, none of other Banks albums are on here. He has On Fire, the single is gold, Beamer Benz Bentley is gold. But we can assume other albums. We're not even going to assume those other albums. We're just going to go straight facts with G-Unit and give Rick Ross the benefit of the doubt that he sold more. Just give him that benefit of the doubt. So we got $3 million on this side, just on Banks, Buck, and Yayo. We got $6 million on Rick Ross's side. And we're inflating Rick Ross numbers. I just want to remind you guys of that. Then let's go into the G-Unit album, Beg for Mercy. So what is that at? G-Unit Beg for Mercy is double platinum, but like I said, it did it within a month. So we could even assume it's triple, but we'll go off straight the numbers. So G-Unit, the Beg for Mercy album, Banks catalog is 1 million. Yeah, Buck's catalog is 1 million sold. Yayo is 1 million sold. So G-Unit with Yayo and all of them with just RIAA, no inflation numbers, even though these certification dates are over 20 years old, we'll just assume they did 5 million. So Rick Ross did 6 million. Banks, Buck, Yayo, and the G-Unit debut album total did 5 million in America. We're just talking American numbers. We're not, and I'm giving Rick Ross the biggest benefit of the doubt when I'm comparing these numbers. So $1 million difference, let's just say. That's the difference based off these numbers. Let's just throw that in there. Million difference. You mean to tell me that million sales difference is the whole situation in this? Is that's only worth 1.5 million or whatever Rick Ross offered? That means Rick Ross' catalog is worth about 2 million, 2.5 million. You want to inflate it even more because he has singles with Drake and all these singles and shit. Whatever. Let's just inflate it even more. Let's just add in a bunch of shit. Whatever. Let's say it's worth 5 million. That's hilarious because if you compare 50's catalog versus Rick Ross, G-Unit, I'm just giving the bare minimum numbers of G-Unit. I'm not even talking about because right now we know for a fact Banks is 3 times platinum because of all this time that's gone by. If you go platinum in a month or 2 months, you can go double platinum in about 4, 5, 6 months. And then you can potentially go triple platinum in about 2, 3, 4 years. Like that's just the reality. If you look at the history of albums and how they go platinum stuff, that's usually what happens. So Rick Ross says 1.5 million, this and that, and I'm like, that makes totally no sense. Your biggest selling album matches Yayo's the least selling member of Yayo's album. So it's funny, man. I think a lot of this stuff is just hilarious. And, it's obviously for masters, not publishing. So that's another thing that's a whole different topic. Masters and publishing are 2 different revenue streams. But it's hilarious at the end of the day, man, that Rick Ross can think that G-Unit is such as a brand. It doesn't do much. I wish Banks would get on his ass and just destroy him again because the disrespect to Banks, he's disrespected Banks for a while. Buck, he kind of responded to it saying, I'm on my way back, let the people talk, whatever. And a lot of people are commenting like that Rick Ross clown doesn't know what he's talking about, and then Buck would like the comments. And hey, shit, man, if Rick Ross can get G-Unit together off this, I'll be very thankful to William Roberts for getting G-Unit back together. That would be really amazing. 50 shouldn't respond to this. Nothing here to see. This guy's just trolling, clowning. His catalog is probably not much more worth than G-Unit's catalog. Like G-Unit he's including, he said himself, he's including Yayo, Banks, Buck, and G-Unit, the album, at least the debut album. I don't think Rick Ross's catalog is worth more than all those combined. I'm going to be 100%. You can just look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Let's go. Let's see. I'm really curious to see this. Let's see. Let's go to some of the streaming numbers of Banks versus Rick Ross's. Mind you, Lloyd Banks hasn't really, hasn't collaborated with a lot of artists. He's been G-Unit in the house. He's been all that. So You Don't Know, which is Eminem. He's featured on that. It's not really his lead song, but Beamer Benz and Bentley is the one. A lot of this, by the way, a lot of this music is pre-streaming. So Rick Ross was a lot, not all of it, but majority of the music is streaming. Rick Ross has been more relevant, obviously, recently because he works with Drake and all these other artists that help him. But Beamer Benz and Bentley's at 109 million streams on Spotify. Rick Ross's biggest solo lead single was Hustlin', and I think, if I remember correctly, let's go over to Rick Ross. Spotify streams. So where are we at here? Aston Martin Music is at 209 million. So Banks is at Beamer Benz and Bentley 109 million. So he's about, Rick Ross with Aston Martin Music, which features Drake, who was one of the hottest artists at the time, is about 100 million more streams. Okay, so let's go to the albums. I'm just curious. So you got The Hunger for More, and it's split into 3 different ones, which makes absolutely no sense. I don't know what maybe the deluxe version, maybe, I don't know. So Hunger for More has 3 separate streams. That's interesting. I don't know why it's separated, because I would like to see this into one. Yeah, I don't know why all these Banks things are like separated into 3. Does that mean like they're all separated in streams, or what the fuck? Yeah, here it's showing them separated. If we go to Rick Ross, it's not showing his separate. Actually, it is. It's showing 2 different. That's weird. I don't know what's the reason for. Oh, probably clean and dirty version, I'm assuming. But Banks has like 3, so it makes. Does he have like a deluxe version that he added onto there? Okay, so Rick Ross' biggest album, Port of Miami. Add them together, both of them. I'm just gonna add all of them together. Is about 600 and 330. Let's just say they're both 330 because they're not, but let's say they're both 330. 660 million with Port of Miami. Hunger for More, I'm gonna have to do a calculator on this because it's 183, 183, and 180. So let's say 183, 183 plus 183 plus 180. Hunger for More is at 546 million. So Rick Ross's Port of Miami, his debut album, which came out in 2006. Streams is at 660 million on Spotify. Banks' Hunger for More is at 546 million. You could say about what, 80 million difference, maybe 80 million difference. By the way, Banks was released way before streaming, went platinum on physical CD sales. This is just streams. So Rick Ross is dominating in terms of streams. Obviously, I would say Rick Ross is, in terms of like overall numbers, because he's been working with more artists. Banks doesn't do that. He doesn't really feature a lot of like mainstream artists. Doesn't really care about hits. Blah blah blah. So Rick Ross is more obviously relevant when it comes to the G-Unit members. Let's see what the G-Unit Beg for Mercy streams is at. G-Unit Spotify streams. I'm just curious because that's probably the one that's gonna match a lot of Rick Ross's stuff, because that's probably the best selling. So Poppin' Them Things is almost at 200 million streams. And Rick Ross's biggest solo lead song was at what, 206 million? I think something like that. Let's go to Rick Ross. Why did I take the Rick Ross one off? So you got, let's see, Rick Ross Spotify song streams. So you got Rick Ross's lead song that he's a lead of is 209 million. G-Unit's Poppin' Them Things is 197 million. And that's a song, that's something that came way before streaming. So it's basically almost matching Rick Ross's biggest lead song. Mind you, Poppin' Them Things is straight G-Unit, no feature, no nothing. Aston Martin Music, which is Rick Ross's biggest song, as a lead artist, has Drake featured on there. So G-Unit, that's what I'm saying. G-Unit's Beg for Mercy is actually matching. So here's the number on G-Unit's Beg for Mercy. And this is where I'm saying G-Unit is a bigger regardless. Port of Miami, which is Rick Ross's biggest, if we added them, it was 660 million. We added 2 of them because there's 2 on there. That's like split. So I'm just going to add both. 660 million total streams. Beg for Mercy. This is how much of a difference Beg for Mercy is. 539 million plus 493 million. Let's see what that is. You're looking at 1 billion and 32 million streams. I don't know, 1,032, whatever. So 1 billion and 32 million streams. So it's over 1 billion streams on the Beg for Mercy album. So you got over 1 billion. Let's see what Rick Ross is, what he would have to combine. So you'd have to combine Port of Miami, which is 660 million, and he would have to combine Teflon Don, which is the second biggest, at 325 million, 310 million. So you add that 660, yeah, it'd be a little bit over. It'd be about 1.2 billion, basically. So you basically add 2 of his biggest albums, match one of G-Unit's with Beg for Mercy. And then you add Buck and all these other, yeah. So the comparison, just Beg for Mercy alone, with the numbers that it has, dominates a lot of Rick Ross's catalog. A lot. Probably like 40 to 50%. Then you add in Yayo, Buck, Banks. And mind you, that's a lot, but and I know what people are going to say, oh, you're comparing one artist to a whole label, and Rick Ross did that, by the way. I'm not saying anything. Rick Ross is the one who dragged everybody in there and said Yayo, Banks, Buck, and the G-Unit album. He's the one that dragged this in. I'm only bringing in what he dragged in. That's all I'm doing. I'm not comparing anything else. So overall, man, he's trolling, clowning, and I hope Buck responds, Banks responds, and Yayo responds because it's disrespect to them. And 50 clearly washes this guy musically in every single number category that's ever existed. This guy's not even close to 50's career. I would even argue the G-Unit label as the G-Unit Beg for Mercy album is more than what Rick Ross's most 40 to 50% of his career is, which is crazy. But yeah, honestly, I'd be interested to see what G-Unit as like a catalog would be worth. Like if everything, if you owned 100% of it, probably worth like 50 million, I would assume, maybe even more. I don't even know. I'm just throwing numbers out there because I don't even know the business behind it all and stuff like that. It could be worth 100, 150, 200 million because G-Unit is a huge name globally, at least. If it's not in America, globally it is. You can say G-Unit, hey, artist, and Yayo and Banks even toured off that a while ago when they were doing their little tour. They just toured G-Unit artists, Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, boom. They sold out shows overseas. They did like 20 or 30 shows by them, just with them two. So